Blog Talk Radio.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. This is Stephen McCarthy from the McCarthy Project, coming to you live from sunny Minnesota. For all you listeners that have listened to me whine and complain about the weather for the last week and a half, it has turned sunny and the snow has melted. Amazing that I think almost it is a praise the Lord for sure. I can't even tell you. So, anyways. Just want to thank everybody for coming and listening today. We have we're going to have a relatively quick show in our normal scheme of things. We're probably done here in about 45 minutes. But I don't think the length will convey the importance. The last week has been, the news has been primarily taken up by the Boston Marathon and the bombing that took place. And so last week we had Stephanie Freeman from Stephanie Chasing Boston on, and it was a fantastic time. So we asked her to come back, so she's on the show again today. And we had talked last time about some things that she was going to be planning, but I have some other questions to kind of start out the day to kind of give you a little feel for, I think. And I'd like Stephanie to kind of share with you a little bit about her perspective, because I think she's probably one of the few people that could honestly say I may have been here before. You know what I mean? I think a lot of us, when we see an event happen, we have a tendency to just say, oh, I understand. Or, you know, it's okay. It's all going to work out in the end. You know what I mean? As they're the ones that get to walk away and life never changes. But your life changes in a major league way. And once the media leaves and once all the hype leaves, you're left with life. And I think, so I've asked Stephanie to come back to share a little bit about that piece of the puzzle, because I think it really is an emotional part of the puzzle that we need to take care of. And then we're going to talk about her plans and what she has hope for. So with that, we're going to go to a quick break. And then on the other side, we'll be talking with Stephanie Freeman, and we will go from there. Five Star Basketball, the leader in basketball instruction and camps. Endorsed by Michael Jordan, Dick Vitale, and Hubie Brown, and where the teaching never stops. Five Star Basketball Minnesota will be hosting a one-day instructional camp on May 18th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and will be hosted by Five Star, the McCarthy Project, and Grassroots Hoops. For more information on the camp, visit themccarthyproject.com/5-star. XL Athlete is the leading provider of online strength and conditioning and speed development camps. For more information on their training programs and speed development camps, visit xlathlete.com. Alrighty, we are back. I am totally looking forward to today's show. I think it's going to be very, hopefully, the start of the healing process, because that's what I think sometimes today in America we get so focused on saying we understand or I'm sorry, or you know a major event happens to somebody, and you know we're so quick to judge. Oh, you know, what did you do in your life that caused this to happen to you? What mistake did you make that you caused your own problems? And really we miss the whole aspect of something really bad happened to somebody and they need somebody to talk to and they need somebody to listen. So I've asked Stephanie Freeman to come back. How are you doing today, Stephanie?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Hopefully I didn't set the bar too high, in that introduction. Sometimes I have a little tendency to get real excited and and set the bar way big. But I really feel that through this short time that we've gotten to know each other over the last couple of weeks, that I really think that your situation is a great message to people that potentially are just starting down this journey that you started a while back in your life. And so first of all, let's just kind of let's have you give us the quicker version of what happened to you personally, and then we'll kind of move into more how that might relate to the Boston Marathon.
Okay, well, I was 14 years old, and I was in a car accident, and I was driving, and I know I was too young to be driving, and I was in a coma for 2 months of my life, and I was not expected to live. Well, I overcome that, and I woke to find I could not walk anymore, and I was moved to rehab, and the doctors placed me in a wheelchair, and I went through physical therapy, and I remember the exact day, like it was yesterday, when I learned that I could not walk. And that day, when I learned that I couldn't walk, that was the day I said, I'm not going to live my life this way. I'm going to overcome this. And today I can happily say I am a marathoner.
So, and that's the thing that's amazing is that did you go through a grieving period or a time where, you got mad at the world and mad at life and mad at this person and mad because why did it happen to me? Or was it a simple switch that you were able to turn?
Well, I felt different all through my childhood because I had faced things that most people would never live through. I mean, I had faced death, and I had faced, people telling me I would never walk again, and I had just lived through a lot at such a young age and grew up so fast. But I did have a lot of things I see now after experiencing Boston, and I kind of have gone through a post-traumatic thing with the whole Boston thing. I see that I did go through that as a young girl. But I did overcome it. I'm happy that I overcome it, and I've used my running. My running has helped me so much. It's been therapy for me, and it helped me overcome a lot of that.
And it's interesting because I think, do you see that, like the introduction where you're talking about when so many people are quick to judge and quick to say, I understand, and they really don't have a clue. I mean, I'm being strong on purpose because I really think that if people would take the time to not understand, just sit and listen and be there and help.
Absolutely.
Were there people like that? You know what I'm saying? That were there with you? Was everybody always just patting you on the back and say, you can do it, you can do it?
I had a strong support system. I really did. I had a lot. My family has always been there for me. So I have to say I have had my community stood behind me. I really did have a strong support system, and that's what it takes. And after experiencing what I went through in Boston, I got back home, and I've relived it. The whole week I took off of work, and I had bad dreams of it. And I realized, what I went through, and it just hit me. These people are about to embark on a journey that I went through when I was a young girl, and it's going to be hard for them. And my heart goes out to all of those people. And they do need a strong support system, whether they've got it from their family, their community, wherever it comes from. We all need to help them and pray for them and just stand behind them.
Because I think that I'm going to read the landing page. We have a picture. We have pictures of all of our guests. And you are probably have the coolest ones because you always got a little saying with them that's not cheesy, if you will. And I think today is more applicable than anything because if you look over our last couple of shows, I've used one different than I was using before. I was using one with that you have a yellow top on. I don't I don't think it says anything. It's on the image itself. But today and last week, it says, "I have overcome adversity. I have lived through affliction, and I am a survivor." And I think that's simply told by somebody that has done it. So now let's kind of tell them the perspective. What advice would you give to people that have been touched emotionally, almost probably on the bad side? Okay, there's always people that are willing to help, but what about the people that have been touched emotionally on a bad side, whether they knew somebody, whether their spouse is one of the people that got hurt? How would you, or what advice would you give to them?
The best advice I give anyone is to always stay strong. Stay strong through it all, and it'll pass. Everything gets better. Just stay strong, mentally, physically, however. Just stay strong.
And see, that is like, it's almost like people always wonder why I like the movie Braveheart so much. And to me, that's exactly what he did. In insurmountable odds against a oppressive people, almost in a sense. It's not oppressive people in this sense, but he always went back to what his purpose was and what he was going to do in his life and why he was doing it. And he brought that emotion to the table, and he was able to get through the different circumstances, in a positive manner. Maybe not always the less physical manner with his case, but could you develop out what be strong means in a situation that's more not like you're going to just jump up and start pounding on your chest and saying, okay, let's go fight everybody? How is it different?
Well, we are capable of overcoming all of these problems we have. These people that were injured, they're going to go through a lot of physical therapy. They're going to go through a lot. They lost their legs running the Boston Marathon, their dream. So they're going to go through a lot of emotional distress. You just have to hold on and be strong and just keep your faith. You just have to have faith in every way.
Okay, and this is the hard part, because there really is a spiritual component to this, I think, for individuals, this is the part I think I have the most difficulty with, is that there are truths beyond this, and do we go this far on a sports talk radio show? And I don't know the answer to that. All I can say to you is that if you would like to talk to Stephanie, her number is going to be posted. You could give us a call. There's a ton of information down this subject of how can you go ahead and deal with these emotions. And it's different than simply just going to a psychologist and telling them your problems. You know what I mean? There's so much more to this. There's actually healing in process. So with that, I'm going to cautiously move off that one because I want to go down there in a major league way. But for today's discussion, we'll come back to off of that. But so now we're coming back into a position of how have you viewed the Boston Marathon in the framework of what you've done in your life?
How have I viewed it?
Yes.
The Boston Marathon means everything to me. I feel it would be awesome for me to be able to run the Boston Marathon, considering I was told I would never walk. So when I went to the Boston Marathon last week, it was an awesome experience. I was about to walk the roads that I wanted to run so much. And then this tragedy happened, and I came home, and I've relived all of this over again. But it's given me a chance to see that I want to help, that I've developed a charity. I've been working with Scott Rigsby, the double amputee, the first Ironman double amputee, and we've got a charity for Boston on his Scott Rigsby Foundation website, and you can donate for the victims there. I just want to do all I can do to help.
See, and that's what's amazing when there's an effect. Do you agree that there are sometimes in bad things that you might find good things?
Absolutely. Everything happens for a reason, in my opinion. And I don't know exactly why that happened, why it had to happen there, but we'll all eventually find out.
Exactly. Because I think that's the big discussion now, is that what gets lost in the process is now we're all discussing, they caught the guys and, we're going to kill them, and it just, there's so much negative emotion
Right.
Going towards those guys, which is understandable, if they did do it, that they should feel those things or those things should happen. But on the other hand, we don't hear nothing about, what happened to the runners? Are we helping them? I mean, were they mechanics that stood on their feet all day and now they can't? I mean, there's so much more. What are we going to do for them in 5 years? That's the piece that, and I'll give another example a little bit that I've seen in Minnesota. Did you hear about Jack Jablonski by chance? Have you heard that name?
No, I
Pardon
haven't.
me? Okay.
I haven't.
But he was probably a 15 or 16-year-old hockey player that was playing hockey, and a guy came up and pushed him in the back with his stick, and it actually it severed his back or his spinal cord, and now he's in a wheelchair from that event. And he has built a foundation out of this to help people that are in the same situation as he. And he really has kept in the forefront to say, okay, hey, I still have to live life, and there are people like me that have to live life. Don't just because I'm not the hottest thing on the news, you just forget about us. And that's one thing that I think that in today's society that we're already off. Even like the 9/11 survivors and the first responders, they're going through hell now because of the health challenges they went through. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, these people shouldn't be forgotten. They were living their dream. They were at the finish line of the Boston Marathon, which is so important to me and means so much to me, and I know it meant so much to them. They lost their limbs doing this.
Yes.
This should never be forgotten. They should be remembered, and we shouldn't focus on the negative. And I've told people all day, I work in a dentist office, and I've talked to people about this all week, and I told them I stood in the park the day after the bombing and just listened to reporters, and Lester Holt was doing a report. Listen to reporters just go on and on about how bad things were. They didn't go on to say how the people of Boston, there were people out on the trail that got lost on the trail, and the people of Boston took some of these runners in their home and helped them out. I mean, some people gave rides. My running coach, for instance, he got lost on the trail. He had to catch a cab. He lost his daughter. I mean, people helped him find and relocate everybody. So, I mean, there was a lot of people that stood together and helped, just strangers. There was a lot of people that helped, and not to mention the military, the police, the firemen. It was a bad situation, but then it was a good situation as well. I mean, we all stood together.
And you really do find out that in difficult times, as much as we are a Facebook generation and we don't talk to people, I'm going to make the comment, but in a really bad situation, we do step up. I mean, it unfortunately has to have to be a bad situation. Like, we can't stop and help somebody, fix or replace their tire on the side of the road. We'll drive by them all day long. But yet, when something like this happens, we're so ready to help. It's almost like this whole week we should be more inclined to help even at a greater level than just the major. Why don't we help our neighbor? You know what I mean? And I'm just as convicted on this thing as everybody else too. I'm not saying I'm this wonderfully good helper and I go around when I see something, but there really is an essence of pulling together. We talked about this a little bit last time. Is pulling together as the United States and around an event in a positive way, rather than throwing all of our hate at a couple people Not that to say that wasn't whoever did do it. They shouldn't be, but I'm just saying, how do we get back over here and stay a society? How do we stay focused in a position where we can affect a change?
I don't have a clue to that. I don't have the answers to that one at all. All I can say is let's all unite and help each other. And
Yes.
that's what we did that day. I was so proud to be an American that day. I really witnessed a lot that day, and I was very proud. And I think that's a good way to start is by helping.
All right, and that doesn't have a particular definition. It could be like the Meals on Wheels for some. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It could be spending time, with family members. It could be doing something that you wouldn't be. I know a couple years back, I had wandered off and got really busy and kind of lost connection with my mom. And I know that when I got back and we went out for coffee one day, I'm sure she fell out of her chair, and said, "What are you doing sitting here in front of me?" Not she was disappointed, but she's looking at me like, "This is weird. Okay, you want to sit down and talk to me for an hour? But it really was. It was heartfelt that I had finally come to the realization that that connection was important and that people are important, not the phone, not the computer, not anything else. So with that, we're going to go off to a quick commercial, and then we'll come back because I know you mentioned that foundation that you're taking donations. I'd love to pull that up for everybody, get the websites, and let's get rolling helping out people. So with that, we're going to go to a quick break, and we'll be back in about a minute or so.
Okay.
5-Star Basketball, the leader in basketball instruction and camps. Endorsed by Michael Jordan, Dick Vitale, and Hubie Brown, and where the teaching never stops. 5-Star Basketball Minnesota will be hosting a one-day instructional camp on May 18th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and will be hosted by 5-Star, the McCarthy Project, and Grassroots Hoops. For more information on the camp, visit themccarthyproject.com/5-star. XL Athlete is the leading provider of online strength and conditioning and speed development camps. For more information on their training programs and speed development camps, visit xlathlete.com. We are excited to offer the following products on themccarthystore.com. Innovate Running Shoes, a leader in barefoot and natural running technology. We carry the full line of sizes and colors. Berkey Water Filters, the leader in anti-gravity water filtration. For more information, visit themccarthyproject.com or go directly to the McCarthy Project store website. That's www.themccarthyprojectstore.com. Alrighty, we are back. I am Stephen McCarthy, your host of the McCarthy Project. We are discussing the Boston Marathon, from probably day 7 going into the future. And I think in a lot of ways when some sort of event like this happens, there comes the initial outpouring of help. And we experienced it in a little bit of a way when we had a tornado that went right through our neighborhood. And one of the neighbors lost their daughter in a serious, unfortunate way. She was actually on her way either up or down the stairs. I'm thinking it was down. And then when the house collapsed, she was actually she was crushed, and it was a very traumatic event for our town. The whole neighborhood that I was in, there were houses that the whole roofs were pulled off. The houses were gone. Our house was one of the fortunate ones in that essentially the tornado went straight over our head, but it took our deck. We had a deck on our house, like a porch, that was gone. It went up over the house and it took our rear deck, and our house was intact because we were in the house. And so from that standpoint, that was the start. The next day was kind of surreal. You're like, did that just happen? And then you look out and you're like, yeah, that just happened. And then you have to start processing the data. And it was a tremendous outpouring. But about a week later, we were here to pick up the pieces. And what happened to us, unfortunately, is that a lot of the kids that played in the neighborhood couldn't play no more because there was so much junk. And I think we needed to come back together as a city or as a neighborhood and kind of reconnect. So I think the same thing probably will happen for Boston, like we talked about, and we want to make sure that those people beyond the day 3, day 4, when the media dies down, that they're taken care of. And so with that kind of intro, Stephanie, you had mentioned that you're working, well, actually, let's put it this way. Could you kind of go over what you mentioned earlier in the show?
I've been working with Scott Rigsby, and he is the first double amputee Ironman, and he's got the Scott Rigsby Foundation. And if you'll go to his website and check it out, he's got a Boston charity on his webpage. And if you'd like to donate to help the victims, the runners, whatever, of Boston, and it's a great charity, and everything goes to them. Please donate. It would help, and these people need your help.
Exactly. And I'm just looking up, it's scottrigsbyfoundation.org.
Right.
That is the full website. And just looking down here. So is it under the donor drive, or is it under a different?
Check the donor drive.
Okay, perfect. So there's a big donor drive button on the website right there. You'll see it right there at the bottom. But so what is your relationship to Scott, and kind of how did that relationship formulate?
Well, I spoke with him. I have some good friends in Atlanta, and they introduced me to Scott, and we just got to talking, and I had read his book, The Unthinkable, which is a wonderful book. If you haven't read it, you need to read it, about his tragedy. And we just got to talking, and since he ran Boston, he was the only double amputee in Boston this past week, a matter of fact. But we put our heads together this past week after we got back from Boston and decided to do this. So I've been advertising it on my fan page, on my Facebook page, and my Twitter page, and I want to get something rolling. I want to get some money coming in for these people.
Exactly, and I think that's the biggest piece. It's all, again, cool to talk, but these guys are going to, their lives are going to change. If they were a mechanic, and they, or something like this where they needed to be standing and up and moving around, that's going to change, maybe. And that's the piece that I don't think people realize, is that when all the media goes, their life is changed in a physical way. I suppose looking at Scott's page, it looks as though that he had some sort of military background, I would imagine, just based on the picture. And so he was kind of in harm's way, and he came back and had to deal with it. Do you think, what are your kind of plans? I know you had mentioned this. Is there other plans for maybe some races or doing some other types of things?
Yes, what I've been doing, and I'm working with some people in Atlanta, and this isn't a fact yet, so I'm not going to say it, of organizing a race to take up money for Boston. So that's still in the works. But I'm going to be a leader of a 5K group of ladies in the next few weeks for their first 5K, and it's going to be Stephanie Chasing Boston team. And we're going to be taking up money and sending it to Boston.
Cool.
So I'm trying to.
Is there a particular place that you're sending it to Boston, or?
No, I haven't found out yet. I'm still working on that, but I'm just putting the link to Scott's donor page up everywhere. So.
Gotcha. I'm sure that I could only imagine. It's not a matter of just snapping your fingers and say, okay, I'm going to be a foundation and I'm going to start taking, donations. It really is quite a process, I'm sure, and to think that you're going to pull this off at a quick.
Well, you said something earlier, what these people need to do. They really, after all the media's gone and it's just them sitting there with those hospital walls, those victims, they can believe in themselves and they know they're strong enough to face this battle and they can overcome it. They can overcome anything. And they'll be back in Boston running those streets before you know it.
And see, that's it's funny because even looking at Scott's website, I can only imagine, when you start to put yourself in somebody's shoes that's lost a leg, or and you look at somebody like Scott who's was probably in a military accident or something, or a military operation, how your life changes, and then you see him in this position where he is and has come to reconcile himself with what's happened, and he's making a difference. How does he view what's happened in Boston?
Well, actually, he's going back to Boston in a few weeks to speak with some of these victims. He is a wonderful person. He's very inspiring, and I'm just proud to say he's a friend of mine.
Yes, because it's just so big that it's like I could see it, that both you guys have such a story to tell, and one of staying strong, and it's not just simple. Oh yeah, I've heard that before 15 million times. You know what I mean? When you get to the point where you've read so many positive thinking books that you don't believe that anybody tells the truth anymore, in that position. You know what I'm saying? Where you just read so many, it's like, okay, I can't be that positive. You know what I mean? It just is not possible. How do you balance the point of being ultra positive, but yet having to deal with your emotions? Because I think there's another side too of this, where you say, well, I'm going to be positive, I'm going to stand strong, but then you really don't take care of yourself.
Well, actually, the way I deal with it is, and this might sound bad, but I look at things like, good Lord, I have gone through this in my life. I can sure handle this. That's the way I look at it. It's real simple to me.
And it's funny because you think, you should write a 300-page book about the 17 different angles of taking care of yourself, But there really is just simply suck it up. You've been through worse. It's all going to work out. It's funny because
that's how I handle it.
Yeah, and that's probably in a lot of ways better than thinking that you're going to find the silver bullet somewhere. Where you're going to go off and find that one particular book that is going to change the world for me, and the 7 steps that are in that book are going to change my outlook on life, and this situation is going to leave me. You know what I mean? I think it's almost like escapism to me. We escape into the book thinking that it's going to give us the solution. And it really is a simple piece to the puzzle, is it not?
It's all believing in yourself. That's all I can say. Just believe in yourself.
Cool. All righty. Well, anything else? I think, because I really wanted this to be short and sweet today, because I really want it to just be a powerful message, not a show that I wanted to be more of, to get out to people, that there is possibility still, and that there are people out there that are willing to help, and we are doing things to help. But let's go this way. Anything else that you'd like to add to the...
No, just everyone, if you can help, if you would like to visit the ScottRigsbyFoundation.org, please, I just urge you to help. Yes,
and okay. Like I say, I probably had too much coffee today. Hopefully it's just exciting. But again, I can only just convey. We'd love to have you back as many times as you'd like to talk about the process of working these things out, and when your race does come to pass, we'd love to support it and put it on our website, and we'll do the same as far as get the word out. If you do want to get a hold of Stephanie, we'll have all of her website links on our website and our landing page. And then secondly, if you can always email us as well, and then I'll forward it off to Stephanie, or you can find her on Facebook as well. Anything else that you could think of as far as getting a hold of you?
You can reach me at stephaniemcduffie@hotmail.com if you need to email me, or, of course, on Facebook.
Done. All righty. Well, thank you, Stephanie. Thank you for coming on and taking the time.
Well, thank you.
Cool. Have a great day.
You too.
All righty. Well, that is going to be our show for today. I really just wanted to be short and sweet with Stephanie because she really does. She's sometimes amazingly simple, with her advice. But really, when you boil it down, do you need somebody like me that's got 42 million words when it just says, you just need to stay strong and it'll get better? I just think that is such a simple message. I think people just need to get a hold of Stephanie, get a hold of the Scott Rigsby Foundation, take care of those people that are in need right now. Now that hopefully all the stuff will start to die down, but their life is still going to be changed, and we need to talk to them. We need to sit down with them. We need to spend time with them and help them. So with that, thank you all for listening to today's show. I know it was a little bit shorter than normal, but I'd like to say again, I would really hope that you hear the message that there are people out there that we can unite together with to change the world. And that is the possibilities. Thank you for listening. Signing off for Tuesday. We will be back tomorrow with some great new guests. We're going to be talking about speed and have Leslie Patterson on. Thank you. Have a great day. Five Star Basketball, the leader in basketball instruction and camps. Endorsed by Michael Jordan, Dick Vitale, and Hubie Brown, and where the teaching never stops. 5 Star Basketball Minnesota will be hosting a one-day instructional camp on May 18th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and will be hosted by 5 Star, the McCarthy Project, and Grassroots Hoops. For more information on the camp, visit themccarthyproject.com/5-star. XL Athlete is the leading provider of online strength and conditioning and speed development camps. For more information on their training programs and speed development camps, visit xlathlete.com.